2 weeks ago, Putin met with Trump, wherein Trump provided a red carpet fanfare for a violent dictator to discuss peace in the Russian brutal attack of the Ukrainian people. What was accomplished from the meeting with Trump and Putin? Nothing. Russia has since launched multiple attacks on the Ukrainian people and continues to kill innocent Ukrainian citizens. Trump has not implemented any additional sanctions, but Europe has. Fox also reported it was a great victory for Trump and stated the flying over of B-52 bombers B-2 bombers showed how Trump was implementing show of power and force. Absolute nonsense. The result? More Russian attacks on the Ukrainian people. What's next, we'll see. I'll go ahead and share this report with you now.
Ambassador, I just think about it. 2 weeks ago, what fanfare we saw in Alaska, here in Washington, D.C., and there really now isn't too much to show for it. What can these meetings today accomplish?
Well, importantly, this is, I believe, the first time that the Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is just meeting with the Ukrainians. He's flown to Moscow 6 times, has had extensive conversation with Vladimir Putin, but never had this kind of meeting with the Ukrainians, which is a good sign, because after all, this is not just a question of both sides having to stop the war. This is a question of understanding who caused the war and how it can end. Russia started this war, and the only way it's going to end is for Russia to stop the war. And that should be the focus of every single effort that the United States is engaged in, whether it's providing weapons to Ukraine or putting real pressure on Russia. And this sort of even-handedness that we have seen from the administration over the last eight months, including, importantly, in Anchorage first and then in Washington, just isn't going to work. Russia is the problem here, not Ukraine. So the pressure has to be on Russia.
What do you think the message is? Like, what do you think Putin, as he's watching Witkoff meet with Zelensky, what is he taking away from that? What should he be taking away from that?
Well, I hope what he takes away from that, or what we are going to provide, is a very deep, in-depth discussion about security assurances to Ukraine. Ukraine is not going to end the fighting. It's not going to settle for a ceasefire or a long-term agreement or even a long-term armistice unless and until it has the guarantees, real, tangible guarantees that its security will be guaranteed by other countries, by Europe, but also by the United States. So that, I think and hope, is what the discussion should be about. Vladimir Putin needs to understand that his goal of subjugating Ukraine is not going to be achieved. It's not going to be achieved by war, and it won't be achieved through negotiations and peace, because the European countries and the United States have Ukraine's back. And until and unless Vladimir Putin understands that, this war is going to continue.
Andrei Yermak, who's the head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, said on X ahead of the meeting, "We believe that global pressure is needed to ensure Russia is genuinely ready to move toward peace, and in particular to hold critically important leaders meetings, for that purpose." You've seen Trump, he was saying he wanted a ceasefire, then he backed off of that. Is there any way that there can be pressure on Russia without pressure for a ceasefire as there's an attempt at negotiations here?
Well, clearly, we need pressure because Russia needs to pay a price, and the cost of continuing the war needs to go up. And the president has indicated since February that he was going to put sanctions on Russia, but of course has never done it in the past 8 months. The Europeans have, but the United States has not. Once there is pressure, it also should be clear what it is that needs to be done in order for that pressure to be released. A ceasefire might be a first step, but clearly an end to the war and a real peace a peace that that ensures that Ukraine remains a sovereign and independent country, able and willing to decide its own fate, and a peace that accepts that Russia has no say over the future of Ukraine, is absolutely critical. So that should be the message: a ceasefire, and then an agreement in which Russia accepts the sovereignty and independence of Ukraine, and that Ukraine decides on its future with regard to security agreements and the security alliances with regard to Europe and the United States, and indeed its economic future with Europe as part of the European Union. Those are decisions for the Europeans and Ukraine, or for the United States, Europeans, and Ukraine to make, not for Russia. So that needs to be the message. You need to stop the war, and if you don't, we're going to increase the pressure on you until you find a way to do so.
Yeah, and lately we've seen it kind of released a little bit. Ambassador Ivo Daalder, thank you so much for being with us.